This is Matt Hurt at Obsessive Viewer on Twitter.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny on Twitter.
And this is ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. And I was scratching my nose when I said that.
Oh my god.
Yep. Welcome to The Obsessive Viewer. We're a weekly movie and TV podcast that covers a specific topic, be it genre, trope, movie, or show. Each episode, you can find back episodes at ovpodcast.com, find the blog at obsessiveviewer.com, and you can also subscribe to the subreddit at r/obsessiveviewer. If you want to help support the podcast, you can go to patreon.com/obsessiveviewer, or you can simply leave us a rating and review on iTunes. It helps us out a ton. So, Tiny.
Sir.
I haven't checked the iTunes reviews in a while.
Oh.
Yeah.
Way to just throw that out there.
Right. I know. Yeah. It's incentive for people. Like, I will check them, and if people want to post their reviews, I'll be checking them.
Hey.
That's ridiculous. How's it going?
Pretty well.
Good. So you're about to go to Chicago.
Chi-Town.
Yeah. And do you want me to tell the fantastic joke I said to you earlier today, or do you want to?
It's yours. I'll let you say it.
Okay, so this weekend it was really, really windy here in Indianapolis, and I went to the zoo on Saturday with some friends, and Tiny mentioned that he was going to go to Chicago, and then Chicago, for those who don't know, is referred to as the Windy City. So I told Tiny that technically he was already in Chicago on Saturday because it was really windy in the city because it's a windy city.
Yeah.
And then when he didn't hear that, I just said that that they might as well have called it the Windianapolis Zoo.
Hey, that's hilarious.
Because it was really windy.
Oh, yeah.
So today on the podcast, we are going to cut all of that out, and then we're going to talk about sick day movies. We'll get to that in a moment, but I want to bring up a brief piece of, I guess you could call it news, because it's not really relevant right now, but in our lives, in real life, me and Tiny are both rereading the Dark Tower series by Stephen King.
Say thank you.
Yeah, because it's about to be adapted into a movie, finally, probably, maybe, we'll see.
Yeah. And
if you haven't been following the casting news and everything, a couple months ago, I think, the cast was announced that Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba would be playing the two leads in the movie, the Man in Black and Roland Deschain. And fantastic casting. I love Matthew McConaughey. He's going to be playing the Man in Black. And for those who don't know about the Dark Tower, I won't go into a big thing, but suffice it to say, the opening line of the first book of the Dark Tower is one of Stephen King's most iconic lines. It's his favorite line that he's ever written, and it's the fan base's favorite. It's the Man in Black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. So anyway, this week, 11/22/63 aired its season, or its finale, because it was a short run event series on Hulu, and the Stephen King Facebook page posted a post saying I know that this is a loaded question, but what did you guys think of 11/22/63? And so I was reading the comments, and the Dark Tower came up, which okay, so Roland Deschain is I would say he's one of my favorite Stephen King characters. He's he's an iconic character, and he's
probably his best developed character.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And so he's going to be played by Idris Elba, and I want to bring this up now, and I don't know if I brought it up in the past or not, but I want to bring it up now because there are certain times in pop culture, on the internet, in the real world, in life, where the internet gets angry at things.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking of, I think it was when, what's it called? The new Harry Potter play that's going to be opening or whatever. Why can't I think of the name of it? The Cursed Child, I think.
Okay.
And I think the casting for that, like, they casted a black girl for Hermione.
Right.
And people got super upset about that. And then, like, when things like that happen, when they cast an actor who's not the same race or ethnicity or anything of the source material, people get super touchy about it.
Yeah, they do.
And with the Dark Tower, I I love this series so much, and it hurts so much to see the same thing happen with it.
Yep.
Because it's such a ridiculous thing. And the reason I bring it up is that on that Facebook post, one person commented on it and just like made me just so angry. The comment reads, this is after Stephen King's Facebook page asked for thoughts on 11/22/63, the miniseries on Hulu, which I will be having a bonus episode devoted to that next week with Brian Davids from Film Schlubs podcast. So check that out on the feed later this week or next week. But the comment reads, I only read the book, liked it. I know better than to watch the movies. Hell, Dark Tower is effed up before it is even released. I'll never ever see that. You should be ashamed of yourself for supporting that casting decision.
Dear God.
Like, it's so infuriating, and I don't mean to get like on a soapbox or anything like that, but you. I can't. And like he goes on, I'll go on and read one of his other comments, but it's so annoying to me because it's so, when I heard the casting decision for Idris Elba, and while reading over the books now, like there are moments where I'm not actively like picturing Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba or anyone when I read it. I'm just reading it. That's one of the reasons why I'm rereading it, is I want to keep my original imagination of it, refresh my mind on it before the adaptation kind of puts actors and puts locations and puts cinematography and like technical aspects into my brain for it.
Yeah, me too.
But I can't help but notice that there are certain lines, certain times when Roland speaks where I'm like, Idris Elba is going to nail that.
He's going to crush it, yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
And so it should be something to celebrate that this series that's bhan long gestating, that there was questions of if it would even be completed written, much less be adapted and everything, for years and years, and we finally get to a point where it's actually like moving forward and actually going to happen February 17th, 2017 right now, which is, that date is so awesome because it's 2/17/2017 and the number's 19. Anyway, if you've read the series, you know the significance of that.
Yep.
But anyway, and then this guy, like, he just went on just a tirade throughout it. Like he said, like one of the and to the other commenters' credit, like he was an outlier in this comment chain. And granted, it had nothing to do with the Dark Tower to begin with, but it wasn't like people were. It's not, his opinion isn't a majority opinion. It's a very vocal minority opinion within the Stephen King fan base, as far as I can tell. Mostly, if you're a fan of the freaking books, you're just excited that it's being made.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to comment on this one comment that this guy made, and then we can move on to our sick day viewings. The comment was in response to your seriously, like. Someone responded with, seriously, you're complaining about the cast? Give me one good, not racially motivated reason why it's bad. And the guy responded with, because of all the money and time I've invested, that's why. And I'm sure he couldn't give a shit less. And people's replies to that echo my sentiments, because it's like, money and time you've invested, literally right now, you have not invested any time or money in the actual production of this movie or in the adaptation of any kind. You haven't paid money. You've said that you're never going to see it. How is that at all going to affect your enjoyment of the books that you presumably own and spent time reading and spent money on it? Like that shouldn't, it's two mediums. It shouldn't overlap. Like, yeah, it's so infuriating. So Tiny, why do you hate Idris Elba? And
I don't. I'm excited for it. Of course I'm excited for it. But like, he's not my first choice. Right. He's not the first guy I would have chosen to play Roland. But I'm gonna withhold judgment until I see it.
Right.
That's how logic works. Mm-hmm. And it's like, he's a really good actor. I've never heard anyone say they don't like Idris Elba. I mean, right. He's just a charismatic actor. He has just a ton of range. And it's just wait till you see what you get. I remember back in, 2006 or 7 when they announced Heath Ledger as the Joker,
right?
Which has nothing to do with race whatsoever. Right.
Had this freaking white guy playing the goddamn Joker.
I know, it's ridiculous.
They should have had a guy with actual paint on his face and a chemical thing on his face.
They should have hired an albino. But, I was one of those guys who was like, really? Heath Ledger as the Joker? That's stupid. I hate this. It's dumb. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Christopher Nolan's going to ruin this franchise. And it turns out it's a absolutely phenomenal performance.
Right, yeah.
And Oscar-winning, every multiple award-winning performance. And, we all should have just withheld judgment. And I wasn't alone in that, Yeah. And afterwards, I felt stupid. I was like, well, I guess I need to, just withhold judgment until I see it.
Right. And those thoughts of like, oh, Christopher Nolan's going to ruin this. You only had to wait like 6 or 7 years for Interstellar. So anyway,
I meant the franchise. But
I know.
Had nothing to do with Batman.
But no, anyway, so really, I just wanted to bring that up because it's ridiculous. The internet sucks. People suck. And it's just infuriating. And on a more positive note, and this will be very brief and then we can move on. I have no idea if the Dark Tower is going to be successful. I don't know if it's going to even happen. I don't know if it seems like it's going to happen. That gives me hope and everything. And ideally, I would freaking love it if they adapted the entire series. It became a huge franchise and everything. And I was thinking about that as I was kind of, I was buying the paperbacks because I'm really insane, and every time I read Stephen King, I want to increase my physical collection of it. So
me too.
Yeah, I had them on ebooks and everything, and I was like, you know what? I have a shelf. It looks nice when they're all there. So I was just thinking, like, I could see myself buying like different editions of the books because I know that they're about to have new paperback editions come out. I think. Then I was like, if this is a huge hit. Like, I went through and I was looking through and I saw, like, George R. R. Martin's, like all the tie-in stuff for Game of Thrones, all the Monopoly pieces, or on the Monopoly sets, stuff like licensed stuff. And I was like, man, if this is a hit,
yeah,
I'm going to be broke so much. Like, merchandising is going to be amazing. But
yeah, me too.
Yeah, but anyway, that's putting the cart before the horse.
Merchandise, but not for you, podcaster.
Oh, damn it. That's good. Well done.
Thank you.
But yeah, and at some point when we finish, like you suggested, when we finish reading the series and the lead up to The Dark Tower, we should just sit down and just marathon record like our own palaver about the series and about the adaptations and
absolutely
all that.
I'll start preparing notes tomorrow.
I've already started preparing 2 weeks ago.
Nice.
Anyway, if you want to check out my reviews of the Dark Tower books, you can check out obsessivebooknerd.com. Just type in the Dark Tower, and right now the Gunslinger has been posted, and then I have the drawing of the theory written.
I really enjoyed your review of that, by the way.
Oh, did you? Nice.
Yeah,
did you actually read it?
I did, yeah.
Nice. Awesome.
Well, you say that like I never read your stuff.
No, I mean, I know you do because I force you to, but
I read that without you telling me to.
Nice, that's true.
And I liked it. I mean,
nice.
it reflected a lot of how I feel about it too.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah,
you have not forgotten the face of your father.
I have not.
So anyway, this week we are talking about sick day viewings, though.
Mm-hmm.
And Tiny, would you mind if I go ahead and tell the genesis of this idea?
Please do.
Episode?
Please do.
So you would shit your pants. I'm
gotta
joking.
be more specific. I mean,
that's such a dumb joke. I don't know if I'm going to keep that in. Anyway, so I don't know, maybe a few weeks ago or a month ago, I can't remember. Like 3 weeks ago, I basically felt really, really sick. It was awful. Like, I just had like a little bit of, I don't know if it was the flu or a 24-hour bug, or it wasn't even in traditional symptoms. It was just, I was just drained and I mean, I just had pretty much every symptom except for like the more disgusting ones. I just basically wanted to lay in bed and sleep forever because I had like a crippling headache and hot and cold flashes, all this stuff. And so I got to thinking, after I had to sit and work all day.
Weak.
No, it was fine because my boss actually gave me the next day off to recuperate because he felt bad because he couldn't get anyone to cover me that day. So I went home, slept for 15 hours.
Nice.
And then woke up and I kind of had a little bit of an epiphany or an idea for a topic, sick day viewings. Basically, these are movies, shows, any kind of programming on TV or whatever that we watched when we were sick from school, sick from work, just feeling under the weather. And Tiny, what would you say separates a sick day viewing from a regular viewing?
I can break it down to one word. I think it's comfort.
Nice, yeah.
You know, because I think it's, you know, when you feel sick, you kind of regress back to a kind of, I don't know, a very simple, almost childlike state where you just want somebody to take care of you and don't want to be responsible for anything. And so you want something that's going to comfort you and make you feel better. And it doesn't necessarily, I mean, it can really be anything. You know, it doesn't have to be a comedy, or it doesn't have to, you know, make you smile or cry or anything. It just has to be something that gives you comfort. And that can be a crazy horror movie or something, you know. It doesn't really matter what it is. It's a very personal, specific choice.
Well said. Yeah, I agree completely. And for me, what kind of makes me think about like what I want to watch when I'm feeling under the weather is I guess it really comes down to a lack of attention or a lack of emotional involvement.
That's true.
Familiarity, really. When you say comfort, that hits it on the head, because it's something that's comforting and something that, for me, in that department, it's something familiar, something I've seen millions of times before, something I know like the back of my hand. In short, it's an experience that I've already gone through, and really what it comes down to is when I watch it when I'm sick, I want to revisit that so I put my mind off of being sick, basically.
Right.
And so we've got a few different examples of our personal sick day viewings, and we encourage anyone listening that if you have certain things that you watch anytime you're feeling under the weather or any experiences that you want to share, email us, podcast at obsessiveviewer.com, Matt at obsessiveviewer.com, Tiny at obsessiveviewer.com, on Twitter, all that stuff, or on Facebook. And so why don't we get right into it? You've divided your examples up by segments, right?
Yeah, just 2 segments, yeah.
Nice. And do you want to go ahead and speak to that or introduce the first one?
Sure, yeah. My first segment, if you will, is basically like childhood, like the stuff, you know, I mean, I think I stayed home sick more when I was like a child as opposed to like when I was an adolescent or a teenager.
Right.
And, you know, my tastes changed between those times. And so when I was a really young kid, basically, we talked about Nickelodeon before.
Right.
I think we did a Nickelodeon in the 90s episode.
We did. Yeah. I'm not sure what episode it was, but
I don't recall either.
Check the show notes.
Check the show notes. We all kind of grew up on Nickelodeon, and to Matt's points, you know, it was familiar, and it's something that gave me comfort. And just about anything on that network was something that I would watch when I stayed homesick as a kid. Specifically, I really loved the show All That, which I think we talked about. I remember just, man, that show was SNL for kids, because I remember going to school on Monday and talking about it, because it aired on like Friday nights, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, because kids don't have anything to do on Friday nights. Right. They don't have anywhere to go. But I remember coming home from school and being excited because All That was going to be on TV that night. And they would show reruns of it during the day. And that was always, you know, even if it was summer break or spring break, whatever kind of break you had going on, I was like, there's going to be All That reruns on TV today. And so Nickelodeon was a staple of comfort for me when I was a kid. If I was ever feeling down or sick or anything, I would turn on Nickelodeon.
Nice.
Yeah. And I mean, there's all kinds of other shows on there too. Hey Dude, even like the like kind of simple, like really young kid stuff like Blue's Clues and Gullah Gullah Island and stuff like that. Yeah. I mean, I don't even really remember those shows that well, but when I was laying at home on the couch, I was like, the letter's over there, Blue, go get it. Go get the mail. It was easy, you know what I mean? It was like, It was just a distraction.
Easiest test ever.
Exactly. It made you feel good about yourself.
Right.
So, yeah, Nickelodeon, specifically All That, man, that meant a lot to me as a kid.
Nice. And that was episode 63 that we talked about, Nickelodeon in the 90s.
Okay.
And just a small anecdote, like that was when I was really anal about the timestamps. It's kind of hilarious. There's
oh my God.
many, many timestamps. Yeah, that's a great example. Do you want to go ahead and say the rest of your kid stuff, and then I can go to my first segment?
It's a good idea.
Okay.
Cool. Another, just, one of those things that taps into your childlike wonder and I guess makes it jumpstarts your imagination is Disney movies. I grew up on Disney movies. I think most of us did. Most of us millennials or kids from that era grew up with this stuff. And I mean, we had like most of them, all the classics, but I kind of latched onto the newer stuff when I was younger. My two favorites were Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast.
Nice.
When I was really young, I loved The Little Mermaid.
Okay.
Because for some reason Ursula scared the shit out of me.
Really?
And that was my first experience with horror.
Wow.
Because she just scared me, and I watched it because she was scary. I don't know. It's weird. I can't explain it.
That's awesome.
The mind of a child. But
right.
But Aladdin, I loved Aladdin because the genie was my favorite character ever.
Right.
Robin Williams, may he rest in peace, was beyond genius when it came to comedy and comedic timing, and he did a couple of the voices in that movie, but mostly with the genie, and it was all improvised for the most part.
Wow.
It's incredible how that character was able to appeal to children, but still have jokes that only adults would get, really.
Right.
There's the stuff about he can't make you fall in love. He can't make one person fall in love with another person, and he can't kill anybody and stuff like that. And some of those jokes were a little bit for the mom and dad kind of.
Sure.
But the kids still found it funny. And that character and specifically was another staple of my childhood, and just made me laugh to no end. And I really just liked the story of Aladdin. I still think that's a great movie.
Nice. I haven't seen it probably since I was about that age as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, I haven't seen it since then. And I mean, there are certain iconic scenes and everything, the magic carpet and all that from it. And of course the genie, but I can't remember much about it.
Really?
Yeah, I need to revisit it. We should do a 2D Disney animated movie episode.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Disney retrospective.
That would be extensive.
It would be, yeah. And then also Beauty and the Beast, which that's just a great movie.
Right.
It really is. I mean, it won 2 Oscars. I think that was one of the first animated movies where they really started using computers, I want to say.
Okay.
I think I may be wrong, but I want to say it was maybe one of the Oscar nominations it got was for effects.
Really?
Because I think I might be wrong, but I remember watching a special feature on the VHS of Beauty and the Beast about a post-credits special feature where they talked about the computer rendering, specifically the part where the Beast and Belle are dancing for the first time. Those scenes are remarkably detailed for an animated movie.
Wow.
And it just has this incredible depth to it. And that stuff just jumped off the screen for me when I was a kid. And just the music, which I know it won Oscars for the music. Some of the best ever. The whole Be Our Guest scene where the cups and plates and the candles are dancing around. That's just amazing imagination. It just appeals. It appeals to me now as an adult, but as a kid, I just thought it was incredible. It's kind of the movie's a little bleak. It's kind of a bleak story about this beast who shut up in a castle, had his humanity taken away from him. But in the end, it's a love story, and everything works out for the best.
Nice.
It's and it's a funny movie too. It's got its fair share of laughs. But I always loved that movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but I just think it's an all around good movie, even as an adult. Like I would recommend that movie. I think it's just a good one.
That's awesome, and it won 2 Oscars for one for Best Original Score and one for Original Song.
Okay.
Wasn't nominated for Best Visual Effects at the Oscars. However, it was nominated for a BAFTA for Best Special Effects. So
okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. I think that was when did it come out? The late 80s, maybe.
92.
92. Okay. Yep. That's when computer graphics were really starting to take off.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. I think Disney was always all about their, incredible artists,
right,
hand drawing stuff, and so I can understand why it might have taken them a little bit longer to get into the whole computer thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my first section, I guess it's not necessarily stuff that I watched as a child or what your segment was. I kind of want to talk about a certain type of a certain, I guess, genre or format that I'm attracted to when I'm sick, if that makes sense. Basically, sitcoms. They're, it kind of hits all the points of what I look for when watching something when I'm under the weather, because it's kind of something I kind of want to have playing in the background, in between trips to the bathroom or hurling in the trash can next to my bed. But yeah, so sitcoms are kind of a staple for sick day viewing or under the weather viewings. And 2 that I want to point out are, first of all, is Wings. That's probably the one that goes back the furthest, because really the inspiration for this episode was that when I was sick, when I had that day off after I discovered I wasn't feeling well, after sleeping for 15 hours, I woke up, or actually while I was sleeping, I had Hulu playing on a loop, or continuously playing throughout the night on my laptop next to my bed, just playing episodes of Wings, the 1990s sitcom that starring Steven Weber and Timothy Daley. It was kind of a ripoff of Cheers. We've talked about it before. It was a basically Cheers in an airport.
Yep.
And God, I loved this show so much. Like, it was just a classic sitcom formula, and what really attracted me to it was that it's about 2 brothers that are co-running a business, and it's about their kind of experience and the kind of kooky characters that not live in the airport, but take up space in the small Nantucket airport. Like, everything about it I just loved. I loved the setting. It made me kind of begin to romanticize the New England area, like coastal New England. Like, it takes place on Nantucket, so there's a lot of like really like there's a lot of establishing shots of like the outside of the airport, and like they would have episodes that kind of tied into the climate of New England. Like there was there was an episode, one of the iconic episodes actually, or one of the episodes that stick out in my mind, is an episode in which the childhood home of Brian and Joe Hackett, played by Steven Weber and Tim Daly, is about to be demolished because I think it was something like it had hurricane damage, or something like that. Or I think the beach was eroding, and it was about to just be taken into the beach. I don't know. So anyway, it ends up being that they end up basically destroying the house themselves with sledgehammers, because it goes into their whole childhood and everything. It's a nice. I don't know how really else to communicate it, but it's just something that it gives me a warm feeling, like when I watch it. And it's all on Hulu. It used to be on Netflix, but they got rid of it back in, I think, January. But
that's a shame.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, it's all on Hulu, and I believe it's the only TV show that I have that has the distinction of being the only TV show that I bought the DVD sets season by season on the day that they came out every season.
Wow.
There's I think there's 7 seasons, and I think there's 8 seasons and 7 season sets, because seasons 1 and 2 were packaged together.
Okay.
But yeah, I just remember going to Best Buy the day that they came out and buying each season as they were released. For every season. So, I mean, it holds a special place in my heart, and it's something that it's comforting to watch, because I have all of this nostalgia for it. And to kind of go back to when I was a kid, it would rerun on USA every day at like 11 and 11:30 during the day, during weekdays. So whenever I stayed home from school, I would try to stay awake or try not to fall asleep until after like 11, after Wings came on, because I would want to watch Wings, because this is back in the day in the late 90s, when TV on DVD was only a glimmer in some heroic business executive's eye, I guess, or whoever was responsible for thinking like, oh, we should put TV seasons on DVD.
Mm-hmm.
So I just never had a chance to watch the show unless it aired, or it aired at any point. So those reruns at 11:30 on USA were kind of what I was really the big plus of staying home from school, basically. And they had like a whole programming block. I don't know, did you ever see this?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I loved Wings as a kid. I got into it more as more in like the junior high years, I think. And then into my teen years, but it wasn't so much a sick day viewing, but it was more of like over summer break and spring break, every single day me and my brother would watch. I'm almost positive it was the USA reruns were from 10 to like 11. I think there was a 10 a.m. and then a 10:30, and it was 2 episodes. We would watch that every day, because we would sleep in until 9:30 or 10 and get up and watch the 2 episodes of Wings.
Right.
That was every single day. Yeah, I love Wings.
Yep. And they had a good like programming block during the day on USA. Like I remember like that show Just Shoot Me with I think David Spade was in it.
Yeah.
That would air like before or after an episode of Wings. The TV show Working, the short-lived TV show Working, it only aired for 2 seasons, but it had I think it was Fred Savage. Yeah, Fred Savage. It was like an office comedy that would air.
Wow. Was Spin City in there somewhere?
I want to say that Spin City wasn't, or maybe it was. Oh, I think it was, actually.
Okay.
I can't remember when Spin City started, though.
Neither can I. I want to say early to mid 90s.
Yeah, it started in 96. So yeah, I think it was included in that block.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's something that I just connected with fairly easily, and it was kind of a go-to thing whenever I would have a sick day.
Mm-hmm.
And when I sat down when I laid down in bed and slept forever, and then woke up and saw Wings playing, it just kind of had this nice, like, because I had it continuously playing on my laptop, and much as my cat Pizza Roll wanted to walk all over my laptop and end it, there were times where I woke up and saw it playing, and like other times where I would have to restart it because cats are dicks. So just waking up in a daze of NyQuil and Mucinex and just waking up in that hazy fog of half asleep, 3/4 sick, and 2/3 cold medicine, basically.
Right.
And then seeing like this nice sitcom from my childhood playing on a screen next to me, it was just so comforting. And I mean, I can't say how much I adore that freaking show.
I love it too.
Yeah, and again, it's on Hulu. It's such a good show, and it's. I mean, it plays with a lot of sitcom tropes, and it doesn't play with them. It lives in them. It follows a really strong formula, basically. But I mean, just you fall in love with the characters, you fall in love with the setting, you fall in love with the stories and the dynamics, and it's just so much fun. And then to kind of my second example of a sitcom, and this kind of harkens more back to my teenage years when I was staying home sick from like high school. And again, this is another show that I made a point to buy on DVD the day that it came out. Actually, one of the stories that me and Mike, the co-host of the Obsessive Viewer, who is on sabbatical from the podcast and pops up every now and then, he and I, when we were roommates at USI down in Evansville in Indiana, we went and bought season 10 of this show the night that it came out at midnight. We went to Walmart and bought it, and it's Friends. And this is a show that I never really, I think I watched it a lot in syndication, kind of after school syndication. I think at like 7 o'clock block they would have it on like Fox or something like that, before or after The Simpsons or something. It was, I would see it in syndication, and then when I started cultivating a DVD collection, because I was a young kid with disposable income of lunch money I saved up during the week.
Yeah.
I would go and just buy DVD sets, and I started accumulating the Friends DVD sets, and like that was the first time I saw it in sequence, and like I would watch it just over and over again because it's an iconic sitcom. It's a great sitcom. And so whenever I was homesick from school, I would just do the same thing. This is at a time when TV on DVD is prevalent and huge, and I had all the DVD sets. If you like in my apartment right now, on top of my DVD case is all seasons of Friends in a box that I had to specially order after the 10th season came out, because they had basically a rebate offer, and it's basically a wood case with a black cover that has has the 6 Friends on the cover, and on the back of the whole case is like the New York skyline. And I would just watch the DVDs so much, and it was so freeing to not be confined to a programming schedule. Like I could just watch them on DVD every now and then. Call my mom if she was home. I think at that time she worked nights, or not nights, but second shift. So I would call my mom and be like, "Hey, Mom, can you come up and change my DVD?" And all that.
My God.
I was such a baby. I didn't really do that often, just sometimes. And it was mostly like, "Oh yeah, hey, yeah, can you bring me up a Gatorade? I'm really weak," and all that. Anyway, so I'm not going to save myself from that.
Wow. No, not so much.
But yeah, and Friends, again, for all the reasons that Wings, well, not all the reasons, because Friends had nothing to do with an airport, but Friends is another show that it's a sitcom, so it follows the sitcom formula, and I don't think there's a single episode that I dislike. Me and Mike did a full-on 3-hour-long Friends retrospective episode. I believe that was OV161, so you can go back and listen to that for my thoughts on the show, like season by season. But in the context of watching it when I'm homesick or when I need something comforting, it's just you throw on an episode of Friends. In two things in my brain are going to happen. One, within about 15 seconds, I'll name the episode title and the season that it aired in. And then I'll laugh because it's a hilarious show, and it's a show that I return to frequently, even today. And I love that we have Netflix and Hulu and all that. Like Netflix has every episode of Friends on it. And it's just like, it's so convenient. I don't need to call my mom to come over to my apartment to change the DVD when I'm sick. I can just, have her come over and click the remote so that it says, when it says, "Are you still there?" I'll have her come over and do that.
So really your mom owes a debt of gratitude to Netflix.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
For that.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my two examples of sitcoms that I watch when I'm sick and feeling under the weather and need to be comforted. It's kind of funny, as an addendum to that, How I Met Your Mother was also kind of a staple of that, and it still kind of is. But I mean, that finale was really kind of, in that final season, really kind of marred the experience a little bit. And I know that Mike is very vocal about how much he kind of can't stand the show at this point anymore, despite loving it up until that finale. But I mean, it's kind of tarnished for me, but it's still something that I can pop on and watch, just kind of on in the background. But it's not something that gives me as much comfort as Friends or Wings, in terms of sitcoms.
Yeah. I feel the same way about Friends. Ironically, or incidentally, my girlfriend and I have been watching a ton of Friends lately.
Nice.
Because like I get home at 6:30, and that's kind of right. I think TBS shows 2 episodes at 7 and 7:30, and so I'll get home and we'll cook and make dinner, and then by the time dinner's ready, Friends starts up, and we'll just sit there and watch that for that hour. And it's really comforting, and we both just laugh our asses off, and I just love watching that show. I still really love that syndication is still a thing. You can watch a rerun of something for a specific block each day of the week. It is just kind of a, we talk a lot of crap about cable and everything being rigid, and you have to bow down to your cable provider, and it's all kind of frustrating, but I don't know, there's something very comfortable and comforting about that syndication block of something that you love. Right before that, I think, is Seinfeld, and then afterwards, maybe The Big Bang Theory, but we've just been watching a lot of that stuff in syndication just because it's easy to put on, and it's always fun to watch. You know what else is really easy to put on, Tiny? Just clicking Netflix and just watching. That's true. I wish I could get Paige more into Netflix. It's interesting though that it's because from my perspective, like I haven't turned on. Well, I mean, I don't have like a full on cable package or anything, which I need to call them and see if they can get back to my original plan. Because when I moved in here a year ago, I got a plan that was just basic like local channels plus 10 cable channels plus HBO. Plus internet for like $45. It was a freaking dream. Yeah. And then now that my contract is up, it went up to like $76, which is still pretty reasonable for internet and HBO. So I don't watch broadcast television like ever. Like I don't remember the last time I turned on my TV to watch the news or anything. Because everything's online, and I watch everything on Hulu, Amazon, Netflix, and I thought there was one more, but I can't remember. I test drove Crackle. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I haven't brought it up on Potpourri for a reason. No, I do want to check out Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, Jerry Seinfeld's Crackle show. Yeah. But anyway, no, it's interesting that you still kind of watch, broadcast syndication stuff and everything like that. Granted, I mean, obviously, that sounds like it's just background noise stuff that like you'll watch when you're eating dinner or something like that, or whatever. But it's so second nature to me to just turn on the PlayStation and go to the Netflix app, or if I'm really lazy, cast it from my phone on my Chromecast, and just watch something that way. That's cool. Yeah. So, I'd probably be that way, but I mean, I probably wouldn't have cable if I lived alone. Also, sports. You like the sports? I do like the sports, which leads very well into my next segment, which is which is my teen years, kind of junior high all the way through high school. I didn't stay homesick in college because I actually had to pay for it myself. So oh my god. Okay, sorry. I'm sorry. I hate you. I'm sorry. That was really good. But one of the things for our listeners, that's a callback to previous. I'm not that much of a dick. I'm sorry. Funny joke, Tony. Good job. Yes, thank you. One of the things I would watch is Sports Center. Nice. Just because it's on like 17 times a day. At least it feels that way. But I don't know. It's just there's something about Sports Center that's like, it's fun to me because it's not just like sports highlights. You have these people on there who have their own personalities. It's almost like you're following characters in a show. It has that kind of feel to it. And there's a lot of segments. There's a lot of speculation. There's punditry and stuff like that. I don't really watch Sports Center anymore, but I remember I was much more into sports when I was younger. When I was a teenager, I was pretty much a big jock, and Sports Center just spoke to me. And I even just hearing that da-na-na, da-na-na, just hearing the music, I was just like, it's Sports Center time. I don't know. It just spoke to me when I was younger. Nice. Yeah. Hey, Tiny, ask me if I ever watched Sports Center. Did you ever watch Sports Center?
No, Tiny. I never did.
Yeah, I already knew the answer to that.
I was so proud of that. No, that's interesting. I do remember seeing, like, just flipping through the channels way back in the day. I remember, like, being acquainted with the idea of SportsCenter being on every, like, 5 minutes, it seemed.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really cool. I like that idea. Like, I know people who do the same thing with, like, watching the news and watching, like, cable news and everything like that, like news junkies or sports junkies, and
right.
I don't know. It's a weird world.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people claim that the best Sports Center is the 11 p.m. Sports Center because it's after everything's over. Like all the games are over, basketball or whatever. So a lot of people think that's the best because you get the most information. But I always really appreciated like the 9 a.m. Sports Center because you kind of get, like I said, there's a lot of punditry and opinions and stuff like that. So you kind of get a better breakdown of like the stuff that happened the day before. Mm-hmm. I don't know. That's just my personal opinion.
Seems like it would be more speculative as well, so it'd be kind of a good back and forth there, I assume.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. But again, I haven't watched SportsCenter in years.
Right.
It's just not really. I don't follow sports. I follow a couple teams now. That's kind of how I am.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
I don't follow sports at all, but that doesn't stop people from talking to me about them.
Yeah.
Like, I had a conversation today with someone at work that was like, "Hey, did you see the game last night?" I was like. And I actually said, like, no, I don't follow sports. I'm just not into sports.
Yeah.
And then they went on to say, like, yeah, it was just, they unseated number one for the Final Four. Blah. I'm like, I have a podcast about movies and TV shows called The Obsessive Viewer.
I have a baggie at home with 400 pieces of paper on it that someone picks from, and I watch what they pick.
Right. I'm sitting here reading book 3 of Stephen King's The Dark Tower for the second time in my life. After starting the series over again like a week and a half ago.
Oh my god.
But anyway, yeah. So what's your next teen era?
Another big one. I talked about comfort, and one way I found comfort was in watching like really cheesy talk shows during the day. Mm-hmm. Most notably like Jerry Springer and Maury Povich. To a lesser extent, back in the day, Ricky Lake.
Right.
Which I have no idea what happened to her. I don't really care. But
she was in Serial Mom.
Serial Mom. I don't know what that is.
The John Waters movie with crap. What is her name? She played Chandler's father in Friends.
Oh yeah, with the deep voice.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna bug me.
I can't think of her name.
Anyway, yeah. Sorry, I'll look it up.
Yeah. But anyways, the way I found comfort in those is those are super trashy, and like anymore, I find those pretty repulsive. But it kind of made you feel better about yourself, right? Seeing these awful people being exposed for their awfulness, and basically people poking fun at it, and them embarrassing themselves. It kind of made you feel better about yourself. So I guess that's where I kind of found comfort in it. It's kind of a weird thing because like I said, I'm repulsed by all that stuff now.
Right.
But yeah, it serves a purpose.
Nice. I don't remember what shows I watched then like that. What trashy talk shows I watched. Like Jerry Springer I didn't like at all. But I do remember those kind of like Maury Povich. I think he's still doing his Maury Povich thing.
Yeah.
And like watching, like seeing it today, I'm like, I wonder how he survives like doing that, or how he can, put up with it on a day-to-day basis. Like he's got to be getting tired of that.
Really.
Yeah. Do you have any more on that, or should I?
I kind of, like I said, I got into wings more when I was like a teenager. More like, probably when I was in like 7th grade, 6th, 7th grade is when I really started to get into it. And yeah, just everything you said, really. Nice. It's the characters are what make sitcoms unique. I think people kind of knock sitcoms sometimes because they're kind of repetitive and derivative, formulaic, and stuff like that. And that's true, but what separates them are the characters. You have to have unique characters, and the brothers Hackett were certainly that. Antonio Scarpacci, the taxi driver. Again, a very unique character. You know, I don't think too many of the characters in that show were necessarily archetypical. I think they were relatively unique to the show.
They were. They were, like, if they were archetypical, I mean, it would be like Lil Mather is the kind of the doofus character, but like you said, he was grounded in the show. Like he was the mechanic. He was the lovable mechanic. Yeah, even Faye Cochran, the ticket handler. Yeah. Faye Evelyn Dumbly DeVay Schlob Cochran. I think that there was one more in there somewhere.
She was kind of like the wild card almost. Because she would come out of nowhere and just say the craziest stuff.
Not really.
Sometimes she would, though.
Sometimes she would. The wild card would definitely have been Lowell.
You think?
Yeah. And then Brian was kind of a foil, basically. Like, that was the dynamic that I loved most about it, was that Brian was the foil for Joe, who was the uptight guy.
Yeah.
And they played a lot with that dynamic. But no, Faye was more controlled than I think you're giving her credit for.
Okay, yeah. I remember one of my favorite lines is where someone mentions a shotgun and she's like, "What are you talking about? 12 gauge pump action, double barrel? What are you talking?" Like she knows everything about shotguns, like that. Like just little lines like that. She would have stuff like that occasionally. And
she has a nice she has a traveled past, basically.
Yeah. She has the ability to surprise you.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I don't know. That's what I appreciated about her character.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you buy the DVDs every day they came out?
I have not. I think I have like the first 4 seasons on DVD.
Really?
I tried to like be good about collecting them, but I just never. I have a lot of incomplete TV series on DVD.
That can be a whole other topic too.
Yeah.
It sucks because now you can get the whole series of Wings for like $25.
Really?
I think so, and it's
Good
all
Lord.
like packaged together. Really, like, I mean, DVD, like TV on DVD is kind of
it's waning.
It is, yeah.
It's not gone, but it's kind of waning, and it's
right. Like, I don't even think, and this is a tangent, but like Netflix didn't even release like a DVD Blu-ray set for Daredevil season 1.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, they did for like House of Cards and all that, but yeah, it's an interesting time for TV on DVD. We'll have to revisit that on a later episode at some point.
Absolutely. So yeah, those were my big ones for my teen years, and like I said, that's when I was homesick a month ago, 5 weeks ago maybe, and I don't remember what I watched.
Really?
I napped a lot. Gosh, I don't remember. I just think I just kind of watched. I watched something on Netflix, like I was watching Daredevil maybe or something like that. I don't remember what I was watching. It was nothing noteworthy, I guess. So I'm an adult now.
Right. Speaking of being an adult, friend of the show and contributor on ObsessiveBookNerd.com, Alex, she was sick. She's my coworker, and she was sick yesterday. And like I told her about the topic today, and she said that when she was homesick yesterday, she watched Archer season 6.
Nice.
And Victor Frankenstein.
Victor Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
I think it has Daniel Radcliffe in it.
Oh yeah, that's the new one with what's his face, Daniel Radcliffe and
I want to say
James McAvoy.
Is it James McAvoy?
Yeah, plays the doctor.
That's right. Yeah. She loved it, but to each their own.
Yeah.
No. And then also she said that she watched. Crap, I can't remember what she said. Black Mass. So kind of an interesting choice there.
Yeah.
But for me, Tiny, do you mind if I kind of round out the topic, basically?
Please do.
Okay, so kind of my teen years, basically. I have a couple examples that I can expand on further as I go into the discussion of them. But the first one kind of harkens back to your daytime talk show, trashy talk show kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhat. This is a horrible transition, but the Game Show Network.
Nice.
It's a terrible transition, but I remember specifically, like as a kid, being like wanting to like thinking like, you know what, the next time I'm homesick from school, I'm just gonna watch just Game Show Network, as like I'm just gonna leave the TV on and watch it as long as possible.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really did that, but it was really. I don't even know. I'm sure the channel exists now. I don't know what they show now, but I remember they showed like old episodes of like Family Feud and the Newlywed Game and stuff like that. And I remember just picking up pieces here and there when I would just flip through the channels and be homesick. But I really liked seeing that kind of thing because it's a fun thing to watch. It's not, I mean, it's competitive, so it's got that kind of edge to it, but it's not that competitive. Like, you're not emotionally invested in any of the people competing or anything, but you're seeing them have fun, or you're seeing them get flustered and stuff like that. Like, so you have the option of being invested in what's going on in the competition, but it's something that's just entertaining, really, on a surface level. And yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it's just something that was just a lot of, something that I really liked doing. Anyway, so the Game Show Network, I'm kind of drawing a blank on some of the examples, other than the Newlywed Game and Family Feud, but I just remember really, really enjoying it. And I think part of it was, some weird, it's not necessarily nostalgia, because it's like I'm being nostalgic for a time that I wasn't alive for.
Yeah.
The same as like I would turn on TV Land or whatever and watch old TV shows. Nothing really comes to mind, but like Happy Days or the Brady Bunch. I don't even have like memories of really watching them that much, but like, that's another thing that I would like that I would do and find comforting, because it's something new, but it's something also, it's not really pertinent into current pop culture, basically pertinent to current pop culture. So it's something that you can have a level of involvement in it that's not like
non-committal.
There you go, perfect. And so the other thing that I want to bring up, that's kind of teen years / like current day, basically. And this is something that it's a unique thing for this topic. It's Blu-ray and DVD sets.
Okay.
Particularly like my go-to example is the Back to the Future Blu-rays. Because those movies are timeless to me. I love them. I love all three of them. I don't discriminate against any of them. Third one's a little weak, but it's still, these are movies that I can sit down, watch at any point, and just get the maximum amount of enjoyment out of it every time. No matter what. And to kind of use that as a springboard into this example is the Blu-ray set is amazing. Like, it has a lot of good special features, commentary, stuff like that. Like, I remember even when I had I think it was 25th year, or 20th or 25th anniversary DVD set. I remember staying home from school and watching the DVD and listening to the commentary with Bob Gale about the making of Back to the Future and about what all went into it and about like all that. Like, that was one of my go-to commentary tracks or one of my first experiences with commentary tracks, really. And as I kind of created a large DVD and Blu-ray collection, it's something that kind of comes back to me anytime I watch, or anytime I'm feeling under the weather, is an option of watching like a commentary track, which is a shame because nowadays it's kind of seems like, special features and commentary tracks, like I'm to the point where I can rent a movie on Google Play for a few bucks, get my enjoyment out of it, and then be done with it. And then, like, the deciding factor on whether or not I own a copy of it on Blu-ray or DVD is if the special features are there for me. Like, if they have a commentary track, I'll be like, okay, I'm considering buying this. That's going to push me over the edge, and I'm going to buy it because of the commentary track, because it's something you get more out of, and everything. And it's something I don't really do that much, is watch special features and stuff like that. But if I'm feeling under the weather, I'd be more prone to watch a making of documentary or commentary track for a movie that I'm familiar with. I guess there are different levels of sickness, basically. Like, that could have been how we framed this entire episode, really. But
yeah.
So we'll start over again.
Oh God.
Welcome to the Obsessive. No, I'm kidding. No, that's how we could have done tiers. But if we were doing that, then the kind of more conscious and the more coherent illness, or like the one where you have control of yourself and your mind, and you're not completely like clonked out. That's something you can consume special features and commentary tracks and stuff like that. It's a unique way because it's, sometimes you get kind of tired of watching the same thing over and over again or whatever, and you can see it in a new light at a time where you're, kind of compromised, but if you're not compromised too much, like you can still get some new enjoyment out of old favorites.
Word.
Whew, yeah. So that is our sick day viewings. Do you have anything else you want to throw in?
I don't think so. Did you stay home from school a lot as a kid and a teenager and stuff? You did?
I did. I kind of played hooky a lot too.
Really?
I don't know. It was kind of weird. Do you remember that from me in high school?
I do.
Yeah?
I remember that. Yeah.
I was homesick all the time.
Yeah.
And about probably 60% of the time, 70% of the time I was actually sick, but I would play, we'll go with that. No, but I don't know why. If I could go back, I wouldn't do that much, but yeah.
I really wasn't, but when I was a kid, I was in second grade, there was like this really nasty strain of the flu that went through my school. Something like 80 kids got, or maybe 60 kids out of like 250 got it, which is a lot. Wow. I remember what it was called. It's called Shigella. It's a strain of the flu, and it like one of the kids almost died. Like, it's really bad. It just runs your fever up really quickly. So I had to be out of school for like 2 weeks. Because
would you watch?
You're really contagious, and so like you have to stay out of school because they don't want you to give it to the other kids. It was crazy, yeah. But I remember watching a ton of Nickelodeon when that happened.
Really?
At the time, we still had the Disney Channel, and I watched like Disney stuff. I don't even remember what was on the Disney Channel.
Wow.
But yeah, so that. Other than that, I mean, maybe once a year, twice a year at most, I would stay home from school sick. But once I got into high school, I think I stayed home sick from high school like once.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I liked the idea of staying home from school.
Oh yeah,
not being at school. My grades reflected that a little bit, but
well, back to the jock thing. If you didn't go to school, you couldn't go to practice.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You'd catch crap for that one. So
yeah,
that was a big part of it.
Yeah. So anyway,
so there's that.
Yeah. I also want to point out that when I was sick a few weeks ago, the kind of impetus for this entire episode, or the inspiration for this entire episode, I do want to mention just anecdotally, I was so, like, I woke up and immediately knew, like, okay, something's not right. I feel just like, it wasn't like a something that would dehydrate me or anything. Like, it wasn't like fluids or anything. It was just, I just had a splitting headache. I was like alternating between cold flashes and hot flashes, and I just didn't feel well at all. Like crippling headache, and it was just awful.
Yeah.
And then I had to work all day.
Oh man.
And then by the time I got home, like it was to the point where I was like, I kind of was like, okay, I'm sure I can drive home. I'll be fine. But like, I was convinced, like I didn't take my temperature or anything, but I know that I had a fever.
Yeah.
But because I could feel the heat coming off of my face.
Oh man.
And it wasn't like a full headache. It was just like my face ached.
Wow.
And like the hot flashes were like face hot flashes. But anyway, the anecdote is that, when I came home, I was so feeling ill. I was so sick and so exhausted. Like I was just so ready to just crash and just fall asleep. Like it was just a weird, like the only word I would use to describe it is my mind was a little bit delirious. Like legitimately, like I made weird, like mental connections that I never would have made. Like it was kind of like a waking, a waking dreamscape kind of thing. Like, oh, just go ahead and plug the toaster in and then I can go to bed on the air mattress. And
wow.
Like I had no reason to plug in the toaster. I don't have an air mattress. It's just weird stuff like that. But it was funny because like as I'm going to bed and as I'm like I'm in that state, I still had the presence of mind to get my laptop, put it on my bedside table, open it up, go to Hulu, disable ad blocker so that the ads would play. I think that's how it worked.
Wow.
And then play Wings, and then just fall asleep, and then sleep forever.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just an interesting thing that's where my mind went when it was going away from me, basically.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I was so tired.
I bet.
Oh, I slept so. It was amazing.
Nice.
And yeah. And shout out to my brother. He helped me out. He played the role of my mom.
Nice.
He brought me drinks and Mucinex and stuff like that.
That's nice.
So yeah, shout out to Ray. So anyway, should we go to Potpourri?
Let's do some Potpourri.
All right. So Potpourri, for first-time listeners, this is the section of the podcast where we basically wind down the episode after we have the main topic, and we wind it down by talking about stuff that we've watched lately or wanting to watch lately, stuff like that. Anything. The tagline of the segment is anything we want as long as it smells good. That's why we call it Potpourri. And I want to mention two things at the top of this. One is that I'm hoping that next week we will have another call-in from Mike. Hopefully his on the phone review of Hardcore Henry, which he's seen this week. So hopefully that'll happen next week. And I think I'm also going to have like a little like theme music and actually have like an intro, like an actual like title for the segment. It'll be fun.
Nice.
Yeah. And the second thing is that last week, guys, I kind of made a promise.
Yeah, how was it?
Yeah, well, I made a promise last week on the podcast that I would finally watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
And you loved it?
Well, hang on. No, but I made the promise that I would finally watch it because about a month or two ago, it was picked out of the bag from Tiny, by Tiny, and chosen at random from one of my from my Hulu queue, I think. And so I was supposed to watch it, but then, stuff happened in my life, and then I just haven't gotten around to see it. So I made the pledge that I would watch it for this week, and I was so going to. But I had to run some errands after work, and the movie's like 3 hours. I didn't really realize it.
But
I know.
But why?
But as a consolation, after the Oscars, we recorded an episode that was about post-Oscars and Deadpool. And in that episode, I had a potpourri segment about Stagecoach from 1939, which was the other movie that Tiny had picked out of the bag. Unfortunately, that recording had a lot of static. So what I'm going to do for you guys, as a consolation, it's ridiculous. As a consolation to you guys, I'm going to cut that slight review of Stagecoach and put it at the end of this episode. So the audio quality is going to be a little messy. Let me know if you can bear listening to it, because then otherwise I'll just, if you can, I might actually go back and edit that episode and then release it. Otherwise, because I was so upset about it being all staticky and weird that I didn't feel right to release it, but I don't know. Maybe I'll go back and do it. If you guys like the review of Stagecoach. Having said all of that, I'm going to start off Potpourri. Is that okay, Tiny?
Absolutely.
All right. I only have one thing for Potpourri, and what it is Battlestar Galactica Season 1.
Nice.
Yes.
Frackin' A.
So Battlestar Galactica is currently all on Hulu right now, and it is a show that I think Tiny and I both watched it together, and I only got as far as maybe like halfway through season 2 before I didn't. I guess I abandoned it, not for any real reason, but it was just something that I wouldn't even go so far as saying it wasn't connecting with me. It was just something that I wasn't putting my full attention on, really. And so finally now I'm finally prepared to revisit it and really give it the attention it deserves. And I really enjoyed this first season because I'm picking up on this because I've seen the whole season beforehand, or previous to this, and this time around I'm watching it and I'm picking up on a lot more of the nuances and the mythology, particularly like kind of the religious mythology that goes into the world of or the universe building of Battlestar Galactica and all that, like the 12 colonies and their search for Earth, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also really enjoying the political interplay between the kind of different factions, like the political faction and like the political side of things with the president, and also with the military side of things with Adama, played by Edward James Olmos. So I'm really digging it this time around. I'm really digging it. I'm a couple episodes into season 2, and I'm really looking forward to really diving more into it, and finally getting properly watching it. Really
nice. I love that series. I watched the whole thing. I was gonna get back to our discussions of box DVDs and stuff. I was gonna get the whole DVD set. It was on like $100 at one point,
right?
But I heard that it's packaged really poorly, and I heard that the discs just scratch. Like you can't move the box ever because the discs scratch or something. And I think the Blu-ray was just as bad, so I never got it. But I'd love to revisit it at some point. I love the characters and just the sociology of it, and the culture, the unique culture you get in a space armada setting. Like it's kind of like it has this isolation to it, and it's kind of like it has this survival aspect to it. That's all just creates these really interesting characters, and the conflict and dynamism they have to deal with throughout that series. Just all is so intriguing. I feel like you learn something when you watch it. I don't know. I really enjoyed the series, and I'd love to look into it again at some point.
Oh yeah, I'm definitely, this is something that I feel like I'm definitely going to really attach myself to it, and hopefully revisit it. Like it'll be kind of on a rotation of stuff that I rewatch, because it's only like 4 seasons. I think it's like 80 episodes, if that. And I want to point out the first season, man. It starts with a 2-part miniseries that was filmed as kind of I think it was filmed, I haven't researched it properly, but it was filmed and presented as like kind of a pilot episode for it, basically. And then the actual first episode of the series itself is called 33, which I wouldn't expect you to remember like the specifics of it, but man, that episode is such a phenomenal introduction to the series, basically. Like the miniseries is a good setup for the different dynamics presented throughout it, particularly the character of Gaius Baltar, and all the kind of different just relationships going on throughout the series that have long-reaching arcs, and also kind of gives good background to what Battlestar Galactica is, and the formation of basically the entire fleet. The last remnants of humanity, really. But 33, this episode it opens the series, basically. It's the first, episode of the series, and the entire episode is about how they're handling, the Cylons. So the background for the show is that the Cylons are a race of machines that man created, and then they became sentient, and then they overtook, or they kind of took over or revolted. There was a war, there was a peace treaty signed, and then after years of not seeing the Cylons came back and basically attacked all of humanity. To which now there is a flotilla of ships that are the last remnants of humanity fleeing their planet in search of the fabled Earth. So that's the setup of Battlestar Galactica. And 33, what it so geniusly does right off the bat is it establishes the Cylon threat is not something to be messed with, or not something to be fracked with, because the episode is about how the Cylons keep appearing in their vicinity every 33 minutes.
Yeah, that's a great episode.
Yes. So the ships have to set, after every 33 minutes, they have to set their coordinates to make an FTL jump. That's faster than light travel, guys. And make an FTL jump to another part of space. Basically, it's just a game of the Cylons are chasing the humans, and it's just the fatigue that brings out on the characters, and the kind of it's just such a great introduction. You can tell, they talk about how they've done this, they have Viper pilots, like they have the equivalent of fighter pilots out that go out on patrol at a certain point to kind of hold them back, or to kind of monitor the place, and then they come back, and just the fatigue of it. They said we've done this. I don't remember how many times they said, but I mean, it's been like days of them doing this every 33 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's mind-boggling. It's such a great scenario to play out in a sci-fi show. And I love that they did that like right off the bat.
Yeah. The psychological toll that it takes is really, it's depicted very well. And it's, talk about, character building and really setting the scene. It's a great episode.
Yep. So that's what I've been watching. Also, I want to point out that Katie Sackhoff, who's an actress I was kind of just a little lukewarm on in the past. Man, she's fantastic.
Nice. I'm glad to hear you say that.
Yeah, and I'm just really connecting more with the character of Starbuck because I don't know, I just appreciate the character as she's written because she's such a strong female character.
Yeah.
I mean, Starbuck is like she can hold her own, and she has such a personality to her that it's really great to see such a strong character in the show, and it's in somewhat the focal point. I mean, it's more of an ensemble series, but anytime she's on screen, I'm excited to see what she does and what she says because she's such a badass, really.
Yeah, it's such a cool dynamic between her and Apollo because they're kind of the same character. They're just a different gender.
Right.
They're kind of the kind of the gunslinger, swagger kind of pilot people who are just untouchable badasses. Yeah. But one of them just happens to be female, and that dynamic is just cool to see it play out.
Right. Yep.
Love that show.
So that's Battlestar Galactica. Like I said, I'm like 3 episodes into season 2.
Nice.
So I'll report back more as I progress through the series. And also I'm such a completionist. I'm such a freak when it comes to this stuff that like I looked up like all the supplementary stuff. So like there's like there's a couple like TV movies that were made and
yes, there are
web shorts, web series, stuff like that. So I've looked up the correct order to watch all this stuff in. So I have like notes taken of when to watch all this stuff. So that's just a peek inside my insanity. So Tiny, what do you have for Potpourri for this week?
Matt,
Tiny?
I watched a movie.
Oh, good.
Not a documentary.
So was it a documentary about movies? Oh, okay.
It was not. It was not a documentary about movies. It was not a movie about making documentaries. It was just a movie.
Nice.
Yeah.
A narrative feature film.
A narrative movie.
That
a fictitious
is awesome.
Thing that happened.
Nice.
And it's a classic too. I watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
That would have paired very nicely with The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
It would have.
So sorry, guys. Stay tuned for my review of Stagecoach. But go ahead, Tiny. What did you think of Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid? This is a movie I haven't seen.
Never seen it? Okay. Yeah. I had never seen it either. And it's iconic. It's a classic movie that, a lot of people talk about, and it's held in the upper echelons of, I think, classic movies. And having seen it, it's for a good reason. I think the laurels of the film hinge so much on the chemistry and camaraderie between Paul Newman and Robert Redford, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, respectfully. And I mean, honestly, there's no better example of a movie duo, like a duo of characters together who rely on each other, and they strike this balance between one another that they're just the perfect duo. They can find their way out of any situation. And it has this really strong underdog quality to it because Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid they're thieves. I mean, they rob trains and they rob banks and steal money. I mean, in that sense, they're bad guys. But it's one of those scenarios where you root for the underdog because these guys they're not evil. They just do bad things to make their way through life. And they're just really charming and charismatic. And I had never really, I'd seen Paul Newman in a few things. I think Cool Hand Luke that's such a cool movie, and I'm a big fan of him in that. I've seen Paul Newman in a handful of things before, so I was kind of familiar with him. But honestly, I can't name too many things I've seen Robert Redford in.
Really?
Like Spy Game, or Spike Games,
right?
Maybe.
The Winter Soldier.
Yeah, Winter Soldier. Yeah, I forgot about that. And maybe one or two other things.
All the President's Men.
All the President's Men. Yeah, I haven't seen that in a long time, but I'm not super familiar with him as an actor. And every time I've seen him, I've been like, yeah, he's fine. He's a good-looking guy. But man, his opening scene in this movie. He's just a cold steel man. His first scene is where he's playing a game of poker. And just his physical presence during that scene was really impressive. I was like, man, I can't wait to see what he does in the rest of this movie. Just because it's a classic Western scenario, classic Western poker game. And just the way it plays out, I'm like, I want to see what else this guy does in this movie. He just commands presence when he's on the screen in this movie. I really, really appreciate what he did with the character, and I understand now why generations have sung the praises of Robert Redford. I
Nice.
really love this is his crowning achievement as an actor. I think is him as the Sundance Kid. So I love that part of it. Like I said, I think the entire movie really hinges on their chemistry and how well they work together. But it's also a really cool story. It's about these thieves who kind of go a little too deep, and they end up being chased by this just ceaseless group of men who are they're trying to bring them in, basically. And they basically have to flee across the desert, like the Man in Black, and I think they kind of realize that they've gotten in a little too deep, and then they end up getting away, but they end up going to South America, and kind of starting over. But it's just this really cool dynamic. Like I'd say a good quarter of the movie is just them being pursued across the desert, and it's the landscapes and the cool dialogue and the dire situations are it's just a very enthralling story. And then just on top of everything else, it's actually pretty damn funny.
Really?
Just the situations they get themselves into. Sundance Kid is very calm and collected, and he doesn't say a lot. But then on the other hand, Butch Cassidy, like I said, there's this balance between them. Butch Cassidy's a talker, and he's very charismatic and charming, and he could sell a popsicle to an Eskimo. He's just a really charismatic guy, and he knows how to be a leader, and it's just great to see the balance between them, and that leads to some really funny situations. There's some good lines in the movie. I really wasn't expecting that, but it even had like some sarcasm in it, which is not very indicative of the 1960s when this movie came out. There wasn't a lot of sarcasm in movies, and just kind of it's in some ways it's almost like a buddy comedy.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just a really great movie. It has a cool ending, a pretty unique ending that I actually liked. It's a classic for a reason. It really should be a classic, and I recommend it to everyone. It's on Netflix.
Nice.
Yeah.
We should really... I don't know how feasible this would be, but man, I'm just looking at Robert Redford's filmography, and I mean, we should do something.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, The Way We Were, The Sting, The Great Gatsby, 74, 3 Days of the Condor, All the President's Men, Bridge Too Far, The Natural, which I've heard really great things about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just, man. He also, and it's also worth mentioning that obviously he, Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid is the name, the name, he in 1980 started the Sundance Institute for Aspiring Filmmakers, which has the Sundance Film Festival. So that's
cool.
That's a nice anecdote.
Yeah.
But yeah, we should do something like a Robert Redford,
Robert retrospective.
I was just about to say that.
I thought of that like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, damn it. A Robert retrospective. Redford respective.
Robert Redford perspective.
Oh my God. Oh, that's gonna be a long one, but
we
yeah,
almost have to now.
Yeah, well, yeah, totally. So next week we'll do the first decade of his film.
My God.
No, I'm just kidding. What are we doing next week?
I don't know if we know yet. I'm not sure what we're doing yet.
I don't know either. We've got some ideas. We're gonna bounce around. Like I said, hopefully we'll have Mike call in with his thoughts on Hardcore Henry. While you wait for next week's episode, I'm going to have a bonus episode with me talking to Brian Davids from the Film Schlubs podcast about 11/22/63, the Hulu event series based on one of my favorite Stephen King novels, actually.
Nice.
Stephen King, time travel, can't really go wrong. That's two things that I love.
Yes.
That's like saying...
Bacon wrapped shrimp.
Bacon wrapped shrimp. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I wasn't offering.
Nice. Oh, Parks and Rec would be another good sick day viewings.
Yeah, it would.
So, anyway, watch out for those 2 bonus episodes coming out and whatever we're going to talk about next week. Thanks for listening, and we're going to have my review of Stagecoach after the music that could possibly be playing right now. I don't know.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Well, okay, I'll go ahead and do this one because we picked it out of the bag, which basically Tiny occasionally picks from a bag of numbers for streaming services, and it assigns me something to watch. And a few weeks ago, or about a month ago, Tiny picked out of the bag, and he picked I think it was Hulu, and he ended up picking Stagecoach, which is the 1939 movie, Western. Why can't I think of that director? John Ford's, 1939 Western. Here's the plot description, basically. John Ford's landmark Western revolves around an assorted group of colorful passengers aboard the overland stagecoach bound for Lordsburg, New Mexico in the 1800s, or 1880s. An alcoholic philosophizer, a lady of ill repute, and a timid liquor salesman are among the motley crew of travelers who must contend with an escaped outlaw, the Ringo Kid, played by John Wayne, and the ever-present threat of an Apache attack as they make their way across the Wild West. Tiny, have you seen this movie at all or anything?
I have not. I don't know anything about it.
Okay. Stagecoach actually holds up spectacularly well.
Nice.
For a 1939 Western, I kind of thought that I would find it a little dated and a little laborious to get through, basically. But no, it's celebrated as what made Westerns kind of break out into a respectable genre or an A-list level of genre, basically.
Wow.
And you can definitely tell like why it's very well warranted. And John Wayne is fantastic. It was the first John Wayne movie I've ever seen.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was fantastic. It was what made him a star, basically.
Yeah.
And I thought that the movie was really, really quite well done. There's some really cool, kind of set pieces, like kind of toward the end. There's this kind of big battle across the desert. It's like gunfights and it's on stagecoaches, and it's actually really remarkable that they could pull it off. And be able to film it in that time period, basically. So it was really good. Yeah, I again, it's been a month. I don't really remember it. I was prepared to talk about it a few weeks ago, but forgive me. But yeah, Stagecoach. It was really good.
Sweet.
Yeah, I recommend it. It is on Hulu. I think it's part of their Criterion deal, where it's a part of the Criterion collection. Which I will also mention on Hulu. There's additional bonus features, basically, or like little featurettes that you can watch, clips, basically. There's one where Peter Bogdanovich talks about the legacy of Stagecoach for about 4 minutes. It's a really nice kind of vignette about the movie as a whole from someone who has experience in film, obviously. So yeah, it's Stagecoach on Hulu. It's well done.
Very nice.
Yeah. So Tiny, what do you got?
Well, I think.
Thank you for listening to The Obsessive Viewer, presented by ObsessiveViewer.com. You can find more of our episodes at ovpodcast.com, and you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Stitcher, or your preferred podcast app. The Obsessive Viewer's theme song is An Eclipse of Events and is provided by Loudlike from their EP Mistakes We Must Make. You can find that and more great music from them on iTunes and like their Facebook page at facebook.com/loudlikemusic. Any and all feedback on the podcast is encouraged. You can email the hosts individually at Matt, Tiny, or Mike at obsessiveviewer.com or send an email to the podcast in general at podcast@obsessiveviewer.com. Check out the Obsessive Viewer blog at obsessiveviewer.com, where we post movie and TV reviews and the occasional editorial about the business of entertainment. You can also like us on Facebook at facebook.com/theobsessiveviewer and follow us on Twitter at obsessiveviewer, at obsessivetiny, and at IamMikeWhite. If you want more obsessive content in your life, check out our sister site, obsessivebooknerd.com, for book reviews, author spotlights, and a general celebration of reading. Finally, if you're philosophically curious, check out Tiny's side project podcast, The Secular Perspective, which explores the concepts of faith, religion, and existence from the perspective of secular hosts. You can find that at thesecularperspective.com and subscribe to the podcast on the podcatcher of your choice. Again, thank you so much for listening. We love you. Be excellent to each other.